So that was one of my more biggest business failures, I guess. But it also taught me how not to do it.
So you would go to the opposite, right?
Opposite, yeah. Certain points in my life that I knew was big turning points and breaks that really changed who I am today. Yeah. That's the kind of people I like to meet because it also shows that it doesn't matter how far down you go, there's always a way back.
Welcome to another episode of the Dan Lok Show. If you like rags to riches story, today you are in for a real treat. Today, I think we have one of the ultimate rags to riches story. Our guest today went from being homeless on the beach of Phuket to being a billionaire real estate developer and serial entrepreneur. His company was named Top Thai Property Developer, and also now his group of companies are now currently worth over $2 billion in Thai baht. So I'm so excited. Andres, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Talk to us about the beginning, how you got started, and what's it like growing up?
Well, growing up, I think a lot of people will being able to relate to me when I tell them the story, because I did have a harsh youth, and I dropped out of school when I was 14. And I thought that life just happens to you and you don't have any control of what's happening, right? So I never thought that I would end up on a beach in Thailand in first time. I never expected I would end up like the person I am today. So yeah, but everything started, I would guess, when I ended up in Thailand, and then I became homeless. So that's where usually.
What happened? Because you were born in Sweden, right?
I was born in Sweden. No, I was actually born in a little Colombian island in the Caribbean. But I moved to Sweden when I was 3 years old.
Got it.
And then I grew up in Sweden all my life until I ended up in Thailand. Yeah.
What made you move to Thailand in the first place?
My grandfather died, and I got to inherit a little bit of money. But I never liked to be in Sweden at all, because it's always dark, it's always cold. Yes. So I wanted to end up in a tropical paradise.
So you would go to the opposite, right?
Opposite, yeah. In the tropics.
Yes.
So when he died, it was a coincidence that I actually ended up in Thailand. I just went to a travel agent and I saw what I can get for the $2,000 that I was inherited. And it led me into Phuket, Thailand, because the pictures look nice, and the palm trees and the oceans and the white sandy beaches look good in the picture, yeah.
Were you thinking of also the cost of living in Thailand was low, then you could stay there for a while?
I knew it was cheaper, but I didn't really know too much about it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then when you first got there, you didn't speak Thai or anything like that?
I didn't speak anything at all. I didn't speak the language, didn't know the culture.
Yes.
I even ended up in the wrong city at the first time when I arrived to Thailand, yeah.
Yes. So when you were going through that period of time when you were homeless in Thailand, what was going through your mind? How come you don't think about going back? Were you thinking about building something in Thailand? Like what was your vision?
When I arrived in Thailand, I didn't have any visions. I didn't have any goals. I just knew that I didn't want to be in Sweden. And as long as I had my palm trees, my coconuts, and my blue oceans, and whatever job I could take, that was the vision I had, and that was what I was striving for, but I didn't have any major plans or visions or desires at that time, no.
And is there a turning point where you thought, okay, now I want to be an entrepreneur, now I want to be successful, now I want to be somebody?
No, it took me a long time to be able to develop that, but I started with the other goals that led me into what I am today. So, and I'm happy that I think that happened, because if I would visualize being that big entrepreneur when I didn't have anything, I might not have been that, because I thought it was impossible to be that.
And what triggered that? There must be an event, or is it a person? Is it like something that happened to trigger you to say, hey, I want to make a change in my life, that I don't want to live like this anymore?
Well, when I was at rock bottom, I mean, it was 2 times in Sweden, and then also when I was homeless on the beaches. But everything started with small goals to be able to become what you have today. And I mean, the biggest desire I had then, being on a beach in Thailand, was to just get a job.
Yes.
And after that job, I was starting to look up to people within the same organization, but with better better titles, right? And from that, I wanted to be a sales manager, and after that, a sales manager.
Because you were working in the real estate industry, right?
My first job after the beach was to hand out brochures for a real estate office on the beaches, more or less, but trying to get people inside the office to get a real estate presentation. So that was my first job I ever got.
Yes. And then from there, you rise up to the rank.
Exactly, but I always found role models to follow. Like for instance, when I was a marketing executive, I was looking up to the sales executives. They're making all this money selling the properties and stuff now, and I want to be one of them. So I always found the best one of that organization, and I started to be like him, dress like him, talk like him, follow him, and that's one of the quickest paths to success is also to find someone that already has what you have, what you want, and then just be that person because he already found a way to achieve what you want. So you wouldn't get the same results if you do what he does. And that was also a big learning curve for me. And then when I became sales executive, I wanted to be a sales manager. So I found the best sales manager within an organization. So that's a quick way to.
And at the time you were still very young, like 20 something?
21 when I got to, my first job there. Yeah.
Wow. And then from there throughout this period of time, so you were learning how to sell, how to close, right?
Correct.
What are some of the lessons you've learned, that are the most important lessons you've learned when it comes to sales and closing?
Sales and closing, it doesn't matter what product you have. Sales is, I would say, the same psychology, the same mindset. But to be able to sell something to someone, you have to have honesty and you have to make people like you and trust you. And that's the first fundamental keys to anything, because you don't like to buy things from people that you don't like.
Correct.
So the first step is to make sure that they do.
Yes.
So, but sales is a big industry. I mean, I'm still learning, but I'm a good salesperson that way, but I'm still learning. There's so many things to learn within that. So yeah.
And from there, well, when would you consider you have your first big break where now you're earning more money, you've got a more stable life? Where would you say that point is? Is it because when you went up to become a sales manager, or how would you define that
I would say when I made my first million, then I knew that I broke the barrier. So now it was only straightforward to go. But or when I got that second job as a sales executive, I knew that at least I could start make some money. There is certain points in my life that I knew was big turning points and breaks that really changed who I am today. Yeah.
Which is very interesting because me with myself as well, I started as a self-employed, right? And I wasn't thinking about building a big business, kind of like your story. At the time I got into business because I just want to take care of my mom. That was it. I take care of my family, and that was my only goal. I wasn't thinking of building a big company and empire, anything like that. But from there, it seems like sometimes I think people say that you got to find your purpose and your mission, but sometimes your purpose finds you too, right?
Also correct.
Right? And so how did you went from that being like say a sales superstar to now wanting to be a developer, owning your own company? What was that transition like?
It feels like when you take the first steps in life, the other steps just start to reveal themselves. And sometimes, like you say, the purpose find yourself. Yeah. My vision was to get a better job. I got that. My vision was to be a manager. I got that. But every time I got promoted, it's very important to put new goals into something, because when you achieved something, it feels like maybe you start to crumble or die, right? Yes. So you always have to go, okay, what's the next step? What would make me happy? Who we are able to see myself in 5 years or 10 years? Right. So we'll always keep growing, and if we don't grow, we're not going to feel good. So it's very important to always keep developing that. I'm
curious, like with your colleagues back then, did anyone tell you, like in the same real estate office, like, oh man, you should just be happy with what you have? Why do you think you want to, like, what makes you think you can be a developer and you should be just doing sales? Like, what were people saying to you?
Well, most people, of course, but I was all make sure that I was socialize myself with people who tell me it can be done. Yes. Because you become who you socialize with most, right? Right. And a lot of these big goals, I actually keep them for myself, because people cannot understand it, how you're going to be able to grasp it, or they have limiting beliefs. Right. And most people always say that you can't do that, or you can't do this, or stuff like that, but you have to have a strong belief in it. So, yeah. So talk to us about your first, like, a project that you're very proud of. Your first real estate project? Well, my first development that I ever did started with a residential villa development. Okay. And that was 19 pool villas on a hill in Phuket. Okay. And I would say that was the start to being a developer. So if you say which one am I most proudest of, that would be a condominium development I've done, Grand Himalaya, 426 units, because everything is just there. It started with that image in my mind and it became a reality. And I also won the most prestigious awards and been recognized all over Thailand because of that project. Yeah.
With that project in the beginning, were you're funding it yourself, or you also have investors involved?
No, of course I had investors involved, and it took a long time to generate this strong database of investors. And just, like I said, it started with a small event, 19 pool villas.
Yes.
We did a good job. Our investors got good return of it.
Correct.
And that creates confidence to be able to do something bigger and grander. So everything started with 19 units, and we're up at almost 700 units per project.
So it's the first, it's a 19 unit. The investors like, okay, let's see what you can do, right?
Of course.
Yeah, they're a little bit skeptical, right? Of course, right? Yeah. And then from there, okay, this went pretty well. And then they invest.
And when it goes well, you can also push them back. Well, you see what we can do small, but we can do it in a higher scale, and this is what we're going to develop. And of course, they want to enjoy the ride if you do in the right way. But like I said, to deliver good results to the investors and good returns, and have the honesty in place, that makes you grow. And the word of mouth is very important. And the trust base is also
correct.
I mean, it took 15 years to develop our image and trust what we have now.
Right.
So of course, it's a long-term commitment.
And are there any property types that you like? Like, do you look at location first and say, hey, this is what we could build? Or you have a clear picture in mind, this is the need in the marketplace, we need to find a location that can build something like this?
Yeah, that also, and the type of units and kind of projects you do, but location is everything. And so also in Phuket and Thailand in general, when you build something, I make sure it's close to the ocean or on the ocean.
Yes.
And we know that anything close to water, they will sell. So that's
yes.
why my company is called Blue Horizon, because I make sure that we do see
Horizon, yes.
the blue oceans from any project that we build.
Right, that's right. And you'll be known for being the oceanfront properties, right?
Yes, correct.
From there. Now, it's interesting. This is something we have in common. We both have a common friend called Joe Vitale, right?
Yes.
Which is in The Secret.
Yes.
Now, you've watched The Secret. First of all, when you watch it, what did you think of it, first of all?
I didn't believe in anything at all.
You're like, what is The Secret?
Yeah, what is it? And then when I found out and read it, I was almost angry because I knew that it didn't work. So I started to do all these things they tell you to do just to prove it wrong.
Yes, yes. Examples such as like visualization, right? Affirmation and different things, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Like you can just sit here and imagine things and that will happen.
Yes.
Of course, I didn't believe
And
that.
I think that's a very interesting point, because I think a lot of people, when they watch The Secret, right, or they first learn about law of attraction, and at the time Secret was so popular, right?
Yeah.
Like millions and millions and millions of people watched the movie and all read the book. But I think most people, they misunderstood that what it is about the laws of success, where yes, you could attract the things that you want. I think both you and I, we attract and we manifest what we want, but it's not like, oh, just sit there and you visualize and you chant and something fall on your lap. It's not like that at all, right?
Absolutely
so
not.
What do you think is missing for most people when they understand the law of attraction, but they don't fully apply in their life? Like, why is it most people not being able to manifest what they want, even they understand the law of attraction?
First, two key ingredients, what I think, I have seen it with my eyes and what people can do it. And first of all, is they have limiting beliefs. They don't believe that they will get it. They don't feel strong enough for it. And the other thing is action, which The Secret unfortunately misses a lot, that you can't just sit on a chair and it's gonna happen to you. You need to take massive action. If you want a certain item, go and look at it. I mean, go and talk to people that already has it. Or if you want that certain promotion, find someone that already doing it. I mean, you need to take massive action, and that's where everything starts to fall to place. But action is the key to any success here.
And in your whole journey while you're building your company, what are some of the struggles you were experiencing? Maybe even some big mistakes that you made that you wish you could avoid?
Well, my first company I ever founded, it went bankrupt after 1.5 years, and I started to invest. It went good the first 1.5 years, but then when I started to accumulate income and funds, I started to invest them in the wrong things.
Such as?
Wrong location on offices, wrong staff that couldn't do the job. I was just picking someone because I needed someone quickly and urgent.
Yes.
And
Which is the worst time to hire someone, when you need someone quick, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, we know
just
that.
take the first one. So,
Yes.
Yeah, so that was one of my biggest business failures, I would guess. But it also taught me how not to do it.
And now you have a staff of over 200.
Yes, correct.
200 somewhat people. So from there to now, how do you manage your organization? What's your management philosophy? What's your leadership style? I'm just curious.
Well, I've been studying so many leaders through my career, and what I understood that to be a great leader, there is two ways to lead. You can lead with fear, or you can lead with inspiration. A lot of it, we all think about that horrible boss we once had. We all had that kind of manager,
and especially in
future,
Asia. In Asia, even in Thailand, Malaysia, or China, it's always top to bottom. It's always more like he's the boss, right? And everybody. What's your style?
Well, I see that in many organizations, and usually managers or bosses, they think that they're better and above anyone else. I like to be among everyone, but also lead with inspiration instead. And if you lead with inspiration, people intend to stay with you for a very long time. But if you lead with fear, sooner or later, they cannot handle it anymore. And then you lose great people, you lose great managers within your organization. And I wouldn't say the companies is all behind me now. I mean, I have fantastic managers and executives that are leading the departments they have to do, and without them, we wouldn't have the success we have today. So it's very important to coach and make these managers into great people that leads with inspiration as well.
And with your company, do you structure how do you structure? Do you have an executive team where then different project you have one lead that's managing, say, this property? How do you do that?
Well, everything is broke up into departments. So I have sales department, marketing departments, HR departments, finance, accounting, and all these departments to break into different departments that are led by a certain executive or a manager that is controlling it, right? Okay. And then it's all connected up. So yeah.
Okay. And then from there, you say, so lead with inspiration. How do you empower your team to be able to grow and also empower them with responsibility, right? When they arrive, because we're talking about anytime doing a big development like this, there's a lot of capital involved.
Sure.
There's a lot of risk involved too, right? And there's no way, because you're a serial entrepreneur, you're managing so many things, right? You can't be micromanaging and then try to get your hands in everything. So what do you do?
Well, it's the same thing. You need to have good trust in the people that work under you. So they need to do the duties and tasks that you tell them to do, but you need to have clear system on how they could do it. And of course, whenever I hire someone, I also show them as a good leader how to do it. And I just not tell people what to do. Because if you do it as a good leader and show them the way first and how you execute a perfect duty or job, they intend to like you a lot more and get more trust and respect for you, right?
I think I saw one of your quotes on social media. You talk about spend more time with your people.
Of course.
As a leader, right?
Yes.
Are you talking about coaching them and mentoring them?
All this is important. And we even go on holidays together. We've been to different countries together with the staff and managers. We jump out of planes together. I mean, skydiving together. So
just trying to convince me to jump off a plane with him. I'm like, let me think about that.
But I'm still here, so it should be okay.
Yeah, but I know it. Well, I've done bungee jumping, but not from a plane.
It's a bit higher.
It's something I want on my bucket list, though.
Well, I do it because you kill fears. And why do we do it? It's a psychological aspect. When you jump out of, I mean, can you ever think about something more scary to do in your life?
Yes.
Probably not. So if you can do that, nothing else is going to scare you. And usually fear is something that stops you from achieving certain things, so it keeps you back. So why not just attack it and get it done?
That's right. Talk to us about your new book, Homeless to Billionaire. Within the book, I know you share 18 principles, right? Share with us maybe 2 or 3 principles you think that the key, that are the most important for our audience. Yes.
The book itself, like I said, is an autobiography, but also it goes through 18 principles that I learned through all this year. And how to master them. One of the most important aspects to success is goal setting. Then of course visualization, and then also how to control emotions and don't get negative about events that are happening to you. And how to expect problems and actually find solutions in any problem that happens to you. There's a couple of principles that I write about in my book. Yeah.
There are a lot of people, they teach goal setting. I'm curious, what is your process? Like, how do you set goals maybe differently? Some people, they say that you should set them in, present tense, right? Some people say that you set the goals in future tense. Some people say, you shouldn't set goals more than first couple of years, because if it's too far, then it's likely you won't accomplish them. Everybody says different things, right? What's your style?
I believe that setting goals is very important to mix them because most people, what they do wrong is they just write these big goals. I want $1 million, I want a new car, I want a new house. But what they do wrong is that sometimes the mind says, well, maybe that won't happen, or I don't think you can.
Yes.
But
I'm not good enough.
Precisely. Right? Or you need to put also certain specific dates on any goal. I mean, I would like to visit that certain city within that period of time or before August 2020. But because then at least you give a more specific directive to your brain. Okay, this is what I want, and it needs to happen within that certain time. And also blending small goals with big goals is very important, because as soon as you reach small goals, it feels like you're moving forward, and it gives you more confidence to do it. And I've seen so many people that write goal lists, but they're never specific enough. I mean, if you want that car, well, what color is it? Well, how does it? What brand is it? How does it smell inside? What colors do you have inside? So be very specific with anything you want. Then it's much more easier to get them in a faster way.
I totally agree, because one of the things I talk about is when someone, let's say they are making, I don't know, let's say $3,000 a month, right? They said, I want to make $1 million a year. Well, I said, if you put that on the wall, and I'm not saying don't do it, I'm saying, does that give you motivation, or does that remind you of how behind it you are, right? Because I think human beings, we want to have experience that success first, right? And success breeds success. And then you can build from there. If I can accomplish, so you're making 3,000, how does I go to make 5,000, right? Once you hit that, then you instead of go to make 10,000 and so forth, right?
Exactly.
You can have the vision that's long-term, that I want to build this, but in the meantime, I think you can break them into smaller goals, right?
Yeah.
What about visualization? How do you visualize?
I make sure to meditate, and I also write things down clear, so I can have clear mental, vivid pictures in my head when they happen. Smell, touch, feeling, all that. The more specific you become, the more easy it is for the mind, and whatever you kind of want to call it, the universe, to connect with each other and deliver it to you. So visualizations is very important. I do it almost every morning before I go to work. I close my eyes in my garden, and I think about all the things that I want to be, do, or have, and experience. And I believe that they already happened, but because they feel real in the head. So,
yes, especially think when it comes to a project that you have to be the one that you walk through a site where it could be just dirt.
Yeah.
Right. There's nothing. Right. You walk in there. It's like, I think we could build property here, and this is what it looks like. And I bet you can visualize this is what the windows look like. This is going to be the view, and the guests come in. That this is what they would feel. Right.
Yeah.
And when there's nothing. Right. And once you have this picture, you got to articulate to your team. Okay, here's how we're going to build this. Right. Talk to the architect. Talk to everybody else to do this. That's amazing. I always find that when I meet with all my other friends who are in development, that they could have this picture. They could describe in details. This is the carpet that we're going to use, right? This is the color of the paint that we want to use. It's amazing. I just find it fascinating, right? With you, what's your goal for the next? Let's say, where you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years?
5 or 10 years, hopefully retired.
You're still young. We're still both so young, right?
Yeah, I like to travel and do things, but no, of course, I love what I do. It's a passion. And like you described, I mean, there is not a better feeling that when a project is completed finally, you know that it started with an image in your head.
Yes.
And that image became a drawing. The drawing became a prize. And that prize became the construction side. And after that, it actually became something a reality side of it.
Something tangible.
And you knew that it was just something in your head at first.
100%.
I love that. But of course, it's not only, sometimes you need massive help for the engineers and architects and also land departments for what can I build on this land and it's going to look like, what is the unit types and all that. And architects are very good at putting these final details into place that you might not see in the beginning. But at least I know what, and also doing your research is very important. Who is my competitors?
Right.
What are they selling? What are they doing well? What kind of projects and all that? And I always compare and I take a little bit of everyone, competitors that I have, and I put them together from the best part. So that's also how you create things and you know that they're going to sell and be a good project. Yeah.
I love it. And I also now can see, like, with the work that you do, what inspired you to write the book? Because there are a lot of real estate developers and they just do what they do. They do real estate developments, right? But what inspired you to also want to inspire other, maybe even young people, where they want to follow your footsteps, right? Where they're at a certain place or they hit rock bottom, that to show them the possibility that, hey, you know what, if I can do it, right, you can do it too. So what inspired you to do that?
I always believed in the law of giving, or that's what I call it, or vibrational giving. And I believe that whatever you want in life, make sure to give it to others as much as you can. And that's what I call success. And the whole idea with the book is, of course, thanks to Joe Vitale, he encouraged me to write it. But I also want to give back and make people more successful. And if they can use the same principles, I know they will get the same results because they work. So I want them to be able to have a better life. And that gives me great passion from instead of real estate also, right? But this is my two biggest passions. And I mean, when we get old one day, what are we going to remember? The cars we drove, the money we had, or the things we did, or the things that we help others people to achieve. I believe that I want to be able to be that old person that knew that I changed other people's lives into something better. I'm not going to care about what I did in materialistic things. Yeah.
I'm just guessing that because of these principles have helped to transform your life. And there are people who are teaching these principles. I mean, we study them, right? All of them. But there are not a lot of them where it could be a highly successful person where they actually openly talk about some of these things, right? Sometimes when someone is very successful financially in the business world, they're just successful, right? They don't talk a lot about, oh yeah, I apply these principles, I set goals, I visualize, right? Or then you have the other school, which I call that the prosperity, like, gurus and all that, right? They talk about this stuff, but they haven't accomplished a lot in a real business world, right? Which you're one of the very rare person who's done that. And then also you've done different events. Talk to me about Mike Tyson. Actually, I saw the Mike Tyson post.
Yeah,
that was so funny because I have a Mike Tyson autograph glove in my home, right? Talk to us about that.
Well, Mike Tyson has been a great role model for me since I was little. And
because you were playing your kid, right?
I was playing him and I was always trying to win over him. And I said, well, maybe one day I'm going to just meet him instead of sitting here. But I loved him. And I mean, everyone has his ups and downs. And I wanted to him because he has a great success story. He's done a lot of failures in his life. He's gone down, he's gone up. And I mean, to be able for him to go up and down like that, I mean, that's the kind of people I like to meet because it also shows that it doesn't matter how far down you go, there's always a way back.
So that's what I was saying, that where I felt that because of these principles that help you, now with your success, you could utilize your success and your influence to also impact others, right? Also to be a living proof, like a role model. Hey, you know what? They work. They work for you, right? They work for myself. I'm a living proof that this works. Is that what's going through your mind? I'm just guessing, right?
Well, of course. I mean, like I said, prove the principles wrong. They work for me, and I seen they work for employees of mine. They work for managers of mine. I implemented even to my sisters and brothers and family members, and they also got the same result. So I do know that this universal law that we work with, and then also other principles that if you do a certain thing, you'll get the same result. It's the law of cause and effect also. And that's what people should understand. If I can do it, I'm not more intelligent than anyone else, or anyone can, but just prove them wrong, or at least try them out. That's all I ask for.
And then also, what about your other businesses? Talk about, besides real estate, I know you're involved with other businesses as well. Talk to us some about some of those businesses.
I also have health centers, fitness centers, gyms in Phuket. I've also been passionate in health, in extreme sports and keeping my body healthy and all this. So it all started with an idea that I saw. Instead of going to that same kind of health center gym, why not have my own? And I also have coffee shops, restaurants also, and we do some import. We actually have our own coffee plantation in the north. Okay. And we import the coffee to Phuket and we serve it into our coffee shops and restaurants. Yeah.
Right. And do you find that because of the business you have, which is mainly the real estate, and then the other ones, it's almost, it's a natural progression. Oh, you know what? I like that too. Maybe that could fit into what we do. Is that what you do?
Of course, they're connected in some way. Okay. So the fitness center gives also my employees a chance to be healthier. They get better prices in going to a gym. I love being there. It's a bit of my psychology to feel better when I'm in a gym as well. And with the coffee, it was just more of we were always offering coffee to our clients in our real estate offices, in our buildings, in our restaurant, at the hotel, and they said, well, people seem to like this coffee that we're pretty. Why not make it a brand of it and start selling it separately in coffee shops? So it all develops from a certain aspect. Yeah. So yeah.
And do you have a CEO managing each component, or what do you do?
I have managers doing that, but yes. So they have executive titles, but also sales managers is what I put, or sales directors.
Or sales directors.
Yes. That I put in place to manage this, and then I get daily reports every week from every company or every office, so I can see at least what happened in the day, and I can do comments if I need to, and I can also see how many clients we got and all that. So it's always important to have an eagle eye in everything you do. You just need excellent managers to report to you on the day-to-day operations.
So basically, a KPI, what's happening within each company, then you can give them the good coaching that they need, right?
Correct. And if you can see that something is leading the wrong way or is leading, at least you can make sure to break it up until it goes down to something you don't want to, but at least you can see a daily operation, which is important.
What advice would you have for, let's say, millennials or young people? They are getting started, that they have a big dream, and maybe they are in an environment where they don't get a lot of help. Maybe their parents aren't 100% supportive. Maybe they want them to follow a traditional path, right? Go to school, get good grades, and get a job. What advice would you have for them?
I would say find your inner passion, find your visions, find what makes me happy. That's the most fundamental questions that you need to ask yourself. Because like you said, most people follow other people's dreams. And I'm sorry if your parents or anyone else tells you this is who you should be, this is who you should become. But if you do that and you don't want to become that person, are you going to be happy for the rest of your life? I don't think so. So find those things. It can be whatever. It can be that you like making paintings. It can be like you like working with cars, so you want to have your own company. But find those things. And I think it's important to write things down, because we always have so much thing in our mind, like a cluster of all these thoughts, but it becomes more clear. All right, well, everyone have different passion. I cannot tell you what to do or not to do. No one else can. So you need to find it within yourself. But it all starts with a simple question: what makes me happy? And write about all the things, or at least find out all the things that doesn't make you happy, and then just write the opposite. At least you're getting closer to something that might cheer you up for the rest of your life.
That's a very good point, because I always say if you don't know what you want, it's a good starting point where you just write down what you don't want.
Yeah.
Right. You make a whole list. Okay, this is definitely this example, I don't want to commute to work, right? Yeah. I want to be able to work from home. Like, you write down the list of things that you want. Then then you can compare. This is what I don't want. Then you can start with the list that you want. Then you can narrow it down and then turn them into goals, right?
Exactly.
I always ask this question, and I always it's a very deep question. Okay, if you could go back to your younger self, okay, let's say 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and you could have a short 2-3 minute conversation, what would you tell your younger self?
That is a deep question. There's many things I would like to tell my younger self.
Yes.
But I would guess I would tell that person that you can actually have anything you want in life. You just have to, whatever you want to be, do, or have, believe that you can, and don't believe and stay away from people that tell you that you cannot do a certain thing, or always life is wonderful and beautiful. It's hard to go back in that way and say that, but I guess be specific in anything you want to develop in your life or see or experience, and be a good, kind, and humble person. I was not that all my life either, and it's very important because you always get what you give out. So it's very important to always make sure to help others and give the things that you know that you want in return. But help other people. I would say that. I was not that way when I was small. I was greedy. I wanted everything for myself. I never wanted to help anyone. And I mean, I'm totally opposite now, but I wish I could have understood that in a more earlier stage.
I can totally relate to that, because when I was younger, it's the same thing. Especially when I was younger, when I was experiencing the success, then it gets into your head, right?
Yeah.
And then you get arrogant and all that, right? And then I think it's when we got a little bit older. I don't know, my turning point was when I was 30 years old. I know that was for you, but I think when I turned 30, then I started to shift, where, you know what, this life is not about just achievement and winning and all that. There's much more to it, right? The giving aspect.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you so much.
Dan,
good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
I
it.
love being here with you.
I appreciate it. Homeless to Billionaire. Make sure you go get the book. It's going to be a great book. I know it's going to be a great book. Read that, and most importantly, apply it. Apply it in your life.
That's all we ask for. Yeah. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Hi, this is Dan Lok. We're looking to invest $10 million in 100 tech startups in the next 3 years. You could be one of them. If you are a founder of a tech startup, if you are looking for financial capital, guidance, and mentorship, go to www.danlokventures.com to see if you qualify.